Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A good Monday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here with a sharp Gretzky hockey school hat. What's on that?
I think it's their backyard in LA, from what I understand, what Ty explained to me. And
Sharp.
It's by Selly Hockey. Have you heard of them, Wax?
No.
It's like they do these like 90s hats because the 90s are back. Remember when we were kids and we were in the 90s? We're like, this is dope. Well,
It's retro.
everything's cyclical.
That's a frozen pond though. That can't be
Yeah.
LA, is it? Or is it Brantford?
Well, I think that's supposed to be the pool, but they put a rink on it. Yeah.
You got one of 99?
99.
Yeah, because they did an
Is it-
Edmonton hat. And they
But is
put,
it legitimately like you have the first of the 99? Or do they all have one of 99?
They put one of 99, but they
okay.
only did 99. And then they did an Edmonton one with like, remember the old corduroy? And the blue, and it has like the orange string. And then I think it has the
rope hat.
rope hat, and it has the backyard from Brantford in it. I think that's what it is. But yeah, they're pretty cool. He gave us one.
Also on the Hangout today, we've got Murray McCourt from the VIP Golf Show Sundays at 8 o'clock, and broadcaster Andrew Walker with us, back in town, and it's first appearance on the Hangout. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you stopping on by.
Congrats on all your success, and
Appreciate that.
we all know that the world has changed, the industry's changed, so starting something up, it takes some balls, and pretty awesome.
You guys golfed together a few months ago or so?
A couple weeks
Who's
ago.
the better golfer?
Walker.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you're a solid golfer.
Yeah, I was not good that day.
Wasn't your best day. It got a little windy out there, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my putting let me down, as it usually does.
Where did you guys play?
Quarry.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's not easy out there, though. That course can beat you up in a big hurry, too.
At this time of year, too.
The second the wind gets whipping, it was the same with my dad. My old man loves golf, and we played Coal Creek on Friday.
Great
And
course.
great course. And
Yeah,
when that wind gets
unbelievable.
going, it makes it 3 or 4 strokes tougher for sure.
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 strokes. Maybe it's 3 or 4 strokes a hole, maybe
Yeah,
even
a couple of
sometimes.
those.
Holy,
Yeah.
yeah. What a great course, though. That black sand, very unique.
I know, the old machinery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of good
Super
courses if you're willing to, give up an hour, basically. So Whitetail and Mundare, or Coal Creek, or Lacombe, which I love, down the road a little bit.
Wolf Creek.
Yeah, Wolf Creek. Although Wolf Creek, I haven't played it for a couple of years because
It's back,
when it
baby.
was really bad.
Yeah,
it's the only, and not to slam those guys, but like it was the only course I've ever walked off of.
Oh, was
It
that
was
bad?
so bad,
No.
and I said never again. And I hope it's back
It's
because
back.
when the old course was in pristine condition, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. I played it earlier this year. They invited me out there to play just so I could see it, so I could help spread the word that it's back. But yeah, it was good.
That's good.
Come a long way for sure, because it was bad.
It was like, well, when I played it and it was at its worst and like everything's cracked, like you look like it's the desert, I was like, this is going to take 5 years to come back.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's back. It's good.
That's good to hear. I drove by it the other day, and I always wondered about Wolf Creek because I've never played it.
You've never played it?
No. I finally got out to Cougar Creek like 4 years ago. Love it.
Yeah.
Whitetail is like a hidden gem, I find. Like,
So-
nobody talks about it.
And Lawrence, who ran Whitetail, retired recently. For anyone that's
1 year
ghosted.
ago, yeah.
He had ran that place so well. But yeah, he retired, and
I like it
He was
out there.
great. He was a big listener of 1260 too.
And Coal Creek's phenomenal. Is it the Rasmussens that own it?
Yeah.
They're great too. And so we're lucky.
Go the other way too. Trestle Creek. Trestle Creek's pretty
I've been
darn
out
good
there.
too. Yeah, it's.
I remember when Dusty first went to Trestle Creek, he came back to the station saying he wanted to buy a place out there. He just loved it so much because there's like
Okay.
little lots you could buy and stuff. And he's like, he's looking at wanting to just move the family out there so he could go golfing all the time.
Yeah, we're blessed with some pretty good golf in an hour and a half away. Barhead is great too. Love going out there. So
Okay, when we played, it was with Eric Francis and then your other buddy,
my buddy Andreas. Yeah.
Andreas. Yeah, and it was a good round, but riddle me this and text us 780-218-9999. I'm back. I remember the number. When you play and you meet and are playing with new people for the first time, do you guys get intimidated? because I did. I always do.
I do.
I'm like,
For what reason though? Why?
Because I'm an idiot. I'm a mental midget.
Because I'm nervous. I'm nervous about looking very like a poor golfer in front of people I don't know.
Yeah.
And that first, like, it's a few holes, but especially that first drop, it's like, it's the exact same feeling almost to me when that group says, hey, play ahead. And then you got to go play ahead, but you're like, damn, I got to tee off in front of 4 people I don't know.
No, that's never bothered me, but I get it. It's like my dad, who is, you know, high handicap golfer, but he loves it, and he actually he cuts grass down in countryside. So that's
nice.
So he gets to play that course all he wants, and it's very playable, right, for him. And then, you know, the other day we went out to the Petroleum Club with my buddy who's a member there, and he hosted us, and it was great. So, you know, shout out to Barry and P Club. But my dad got invited, and to him, like, it was like the Masters, right? Like, so he was so wound up, you know, playing with new guys, playing at a fancy club, right? And he couldn't hit the ball. So I know that happens to people.
It's and it shouldn't. In theory, you should recognize it and find a way to work past it or through it. But like when it was you, Eric, and Andreas, I knew of you. We didn't know each other, right?
Yeah.
And then, like Eric, I only got to know really this year. We'd always said hello in passing at rinks and stuff. And then Andreas, I didn't know, obviously. But the same thing happened to me when I was golfing in Coeur d'Alene. It was with my buddies and a couple of their buddies, and I didn't know them. And they play like speed golf, and then they change the game on the fly. And I'm like, I'm just trying to hit the ball straight here. I don't know this course. And so I don't know. It feels like a bit of not a burden, but it's like this outside force that's created internally that totally throws off your game. Not to say that's the reason why I played bad that day.
I get it though. My fiance Angie, natural athlete, she's playing pro hockey. She, you know, and so she's just getting into golf, like just getting into this is like, you know, her second kind of year playing, and not a big surprise, but she's picking it up really quick.
Yeah.
But she's so competitive, and you know, she gets so hard on herself, and she doesn't quite understand yet. I'm like, this is the hardest sport in the world, and like if you only enjoy playing when you're playing the lights out, I got bad news for you. Because most of the time, it's not going to go your way. It's like the ultimate mental toughness sport, because something as simple as a little wind or playing with someone new, or like you can be thrown off so easy that it's way more mental than physical.
Squirrel takes your ball in the middle of the fairway.
That I would get a kick out of, though. That would be pretty funny, though.
Golf is always trying to find ways to screw you up, like always.
Well, yeah, you 3-putt a hole and then you're pissed off, so you get to the next hole and maybe you're going to you're mad, so you're going to swing a little harder or something like that. Where
Correct.
She's playing hockey, she has a bad shift. Can she shake that off and go out and have a good shift the next shift? I mean, the answer is probably yes, but she's more comfortable with hockey and golf. Golf's just, you're right. Golf is a mental sport. We all know it is, that it's as much between the ears as anything. But to be honest with you, I never really heard, when I play with new people, I'm as casual, laid back as it gets. I could care less how good
because you can just pipe it down the fairway. There's nothing, you just pipes it down the fairway.
Like, how can people be nervous playing with me? But I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just I find that weird, but people do get nervous playing with me. So it's
but I don't know. I just started thinking about it. I'm like, why do I like 3 jack putts that are from like 10 feet in? Like, why do I make a stupid shot out of the sand? Why do I try to do this or that? They don't care what my game is. They just want to make sure that I keep pace and I'm fun to be around. Generally, right? And then, but at the same time, you get this like thought bubble in your mind, and it seems like it's always there for me, at least. And I feel like there's got to be other people out there that have this same kind of burden that they deal with when they're on the golf course, or stress, anxiety, if you will.
I'm not saying you're like this, but I think maybe for some people, like, you can fake your way through a lot of things in life. You can meet people, you can, you know, maybe you're not comfortable with yourself. I don't know. You act like you're someone you're not. You can fit in with different groups. And, like, there's no hiding on the golf course. You are exactly what your score says you are.
Yeah.
And you can't, you can cheat, I guess, but, like, you can't
just bomb at 275 out of nowhere.
Yeah, you can't fake it. You can't pretend that you're something you're not.
Totally.
Right? And I'm not saying that's what makes you nervous. I think maybe some people.
No.
Like, your soul is bare.
Yes, that's a great way to describe it. Like, okay. Example. So you and Francis are chirping each other. You guys golf together all the time. And then Andreas is really good. And then I'm just like, oh man, like I'm the black sheep here. Like, and I didn't feel that way, but your mind starts going down that
here's
road.
The tricky part is that my buddy Andreas is not that good. Like he
made some great
shots. Yeah, for sure. But he played well. He's not very good at all. Like, he'll probably listen to it. Like he putts out of bunkers. Like he's not good.
Oh my god.
You want to know something though? Actually, our buddy Ryan Meyer, singer of Whale and Wolf, he does it all the time, but it works for him. And I've done it a few times after that because
I've done it
I struggle in the putter.
Of a bunker.
It's not, you can't do it on every bunker and stuff. No. But if it's a lower bunker and it's a little bit of a lip, you could putt that out, and it works really well.
If you're having a bad day,
straight up, I'm not gonna lie, it works.
I did it a few years ago, and I was like, "Oh my god, that was actually brilliant."
not when you can't hit a sand wedge, and you chunk it all the time, and you're thinning it all the time. You take that putter, it stays on the ground, and slash the sand. It gets a little lip, so it gets a little jump off of that.
Hit your sand wedge, hit 2 inches behind the ball, swing hard, and follow through, and the ball comes out every single time.
Yeah, but is it going to come out where I want, or is it going to be thinned it deep?
Don't thin it. You got to hit the sand 2 inches behind the ball.
And then I'm going to chunk it, then I'm going to hit it fat. And then I'm going to hit it completely fat, and it's going to go 2 feet. Whereas if I putt in and grab that putter, I can get the right contact, and it'll just roll.
It's hard to watch.
I'm going to defend the putter in the bunker.
It's hard to watch you guys putting out of the bunker.
Yeah. I'm going to defend that one because it works. I've seen it work.
I've done it. I haven't done it in like a regular bunker, but like one that like the sand is hard and doesn't move. And I'm like, oh my god, and the lip is low. I'm like, I can.
Just if it's soft as heck, it's not going to work.
That's when I've done it.
But there's the courses where it's just not. It's not a proper sand.
I've seen guys.
We don't always get a golf at the ranch every round, Murray.
I've seen guys putt a little bit with the ramp, but it's like 1 every 20 bunker shots. That might be the play, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, as you guys know, I play golf with Kevin Karras every Sunday morning.
Shout out, KK.
That guy is the worst chipper in the planet, and he knows it. So if his ball's in the fairway, if he's 40 yards and in, he's putting from the fairway from like 30 yards away.
Oh,
and
KK.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Does it work?
For him, it's way better than his chipping. And I've actually seen him hole one out. Like he was like 35 yards out from the green for par on number 4 at the ranch, and he made it from like 35 yards out with a putter. Like it's unbelievable. I mean, that doesn't happen very often either. But if you see him chip, usually when he chips, I yell home run because he sculls it and it's 30 yards over the back of the green, so he knocks it out of the park, right? So, anyways,
do what works.
Know your strengths.
It's
exactly.
Like Bubba Watson is like one of the most technically terrible golfers at times. Scotty Scheffler. We were talking about that when Scheffler earlier this year.
Shuffle.
If you look at Scotty Scheffler, his technique is poor.
There is no golf pro on the planet that is teaching you to swing with Scotty Scheffler's footwork. You don't teach that.
Yeah, Jim Furyk back in the day, who was world #1, but it's such a bad swing until he got back on playing somehow. I don't know how he did, but he did, right?
Matthew Wolff, another great player. But, I mean, he was great. He was an up-and-comer, and then where is he now? I think he's on live maybe. But, I mean, what a terrible swing again, similar to Jim Furyk's. But, man, one of the best players in the world, and you look at those swings, and you're like, how?
I do like stories like that. Like I don't love Bubba, but I love the self-taught, like, not silver spoon. He was just in the back in the bayou basically smashing draws and fades, and I love that.
Made it work out.
Yeah.
Because again, it's
two-time
your
major
score,
master champ.
Your score, right? At the end of the day.
They don't draw pictures on the scorecard.
Man.
Right, good point. Didn't Bubba take his driver on his second shot on a par 5 somewhere and put it within like 10 feet of the pin?
Oh, that guy goes driver all the time.
Yeah,
if the course dictates, yeah.
Oh my God.
Driver on deck is a skill.
That is so scary.
Itself.
That's not easy.
No.
I had one buddy. He had that Nike Square head.
Oh yeah.
And he actually was really good. I think it was with that one. And then he got rid of that club because he got a different driver. But he didn't think about he should have kept that for driver on deck.
Get rid of the 3 or the 5.
You need
awful sound, that driver.
Oh yeah.
You need such a high club head speed to get a driver off the deck in the air at all because it's so little loft. It's so close and possible. You just have to swing out of your shoes to get it in the air at all.
Man,
it's not easy.
Surveyor Brett saying Murray's crying inside hearing this putting over bunker talk, and then Northside Sandwich. You could see it on his face every time Matt doubles down on it.
Yeah, it's.
Walks didn't speak glowingly of it either.
No, it's hard to watch. Well, even so, but that's another thing, right? If you get intimidated with new guys, you're like, oh. This Andreas guy is really good, and he does hit a mile.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He hits it a mile. But If he hits the green, he'd get a good score. If he misses the green, all bets are off. Triple, right?
Yeah.
Can't chip, can't play out of bunkers, can't putt.
Yeah.
Right? So
Well,
He had a good
I
round.
think the answer to your problem, Tommy G, is a shot of birdie juice.
That is a great solution.
That is a great solution. That'll help calm you down,
Yep.
settle you down,
Alcoholism,
get you into the
that's
game.
the-
Yes. That's. I agree.
The solution, alcoholism.
Drinks.
Well, there's
and
those
birdie
like
booze.
funny little Instagram reels and memes where they talk about like the perfect level, right? Is it more than 3, less than 6, whatever? And it's a thing. Like
Yes,
it's a thing.
for
And if
some
you get out of
people.
that level,
It's a cliff too.
if you get out of that level, then you're too loose. And if you're a little stiff before,
Yep.
that's no good. There is a perfect level.
But it's there's no like soft like, oh, maybe I should start holding back because it's not working anymore. It's like once you drink too many, it's just you're gone.
Maintain.
It's gone.
Yeah.
You've fallen off
Maintain.
that cliff. You're done, Cliff, and you're done. It's just okay. Well, this is my round today.
That's why hot days are dangerous because you're always thirsty. Are you mixing in water? Are you just hitting the drinks? Like that could be deadly, and you could be zapped by the end of the round, and your day's over.
So you were saying earlier, mutual friends with Ryan Jesperson. I need to know how you maintain your proper level when you're playing with Jespo, because that's not easy.
No, it's very difficult. I would say that 90% of the time it turns into, we're not playing for score anymore. We're just having fun. And I'd like that number to get down a little bit because sometimes you have a good round and you want to play for score. So I do this buddies tournament every fall with Jespo and a bunch of guys from Calgary. And he's never won it. And he probably never will win the green jacket. Probably not. However, he has a little bit of ability in there and it's gotten better. The last few years, he has the ability to hit any shot. I've seen him make some amazing birdies at the ranch. His favorite hole is number 1, 2, 5, the cauldron we call it.
the
El
cauldron.
Calderon. Yeah. And anyway, but his biggest problem is that by about hole 13, the scores just go on the wrong way because he's ingesting a lot of things on the ranch golf course. Yes.
including the taco in the bag at the snack shack. But I mean, that's not what
true.
we're talking about
But
here.
I think
The other
he's
things.
I think he's put 3 of your cart girls' kids through college. I believe.
Yeah, good. good.
So
good.
he's one of those guys.
Well, we appreciate those guys.
Yeah. His nickname's Party Cart, by the way. Ryan Jesperson. Yeah.
Shocking. Shocking.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. So surprised to hear this. We got a text that says, just got to Wetaskiwin Golf and Country Club, morning beers and morning glizzies. Let's go. All right. Hitting those pork missiles right off the hop today.
Fun, you were talking about Wetaskiwin, another great golf course.
I haven't been
Montgomery Glen. Right?
Montgomery Glen,
that's
like
right.
there's a lot of small town.
It's rural Alberta.
Lacombe earlier, Innisfail,
Barrhead's
great.
Barrhead is so good.
Yeah, Innisfail's great. I mean, Olds, we're talking further down the road
Olds
now, but
is
Olds is great.
really
if you
good.
like,
Yes,
if you like
that's
Link-
27.
If you like
18?
links golf, Olds is great. Innisfail's 27.
27.
I know it's yeah.
We did Sundry a few years
Sundry
ago.
is
I was like,
unbelievable.
wow.
Sundry is so good.
yeah.
Picturesque. Yeah.
Embarrassed I forgot about that one. It's,
Well maintained. Yeah, it was. I had no idea. And
Hit
we
it
went
straight.
there.
Hit it
Yeah,
straight,
and lots
yeah.
of trouble if you're not.
yeah, same as Innisfail. It's a lot of 7-iron.
Yeah,
but,
it's not. Yeah, Innisfail's tough for
Yes.
sure. Yeah, I think it's number 8. If you hit up on top of that hill, and it looks like you're hitting into a bowling alley. Like
Yeah, and goes without saying too. And I had not because I had moved away when I to Toronto and Vancouver and stuff. But the last time I had played Kananaskis, and it's a bit of a jaunt, but last time I played it was before the flood. And the last, just on summer vacation, we played Kananaskis twice over the last month. And obviously goes without saying, just unbelievable. I love it out there. One of my favorite places.
My favorite place to play in Alberta, Kananaskis for sure. It's so good. And ultimately, the flood and before and after, it's pretty similar, right? There's not a lot different.
Yeah, I can't really remember the layout per se. Like I was never like, Kananaskis hole 6 or whatever, but just you're always looking up at the mountains and the fairways are like carpet, and you got like the slight Athabasca River or whatever, the Kananaskis River swinging through there. So it's hard to have a bad day out there. Even if your score is getting away from you.
And then we have Banff and Jasper. I mean, 2 of the best in the world, really. Those 2 courses here. So
it's funny to see because now there's so many of those golf influencers, right? YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah.
And I always, I actually quite like the content. I watch a lot of it.
Do you like Bob Does Sports?
I don't know that.
That one's good.
Yeah.
Joey Cold cuts. I guess he's Canadian. Anyway, sort of
But you
derail.
see these guys, and they're like, "Oh, I'm playing," and it's a course in Alberta or BC.
Oh, yeah?
Kind of cool. Yeah.
All the best to everyone out in Jasper, but also like hopefully JPL is
It didn't. It was
course.
okay, right?
Do you know anything about the course?
Did we hear?
Yeah,
Few
very
holes,
little.
I heard, right?
It's
It got singed.
severe damage on the golf course.
Oh, damn.
But they're quiet. They're keeping it close to the vest. Exactly what the issue is. I've seen one picture.
Yeah.
Of hole number 16 before and after the fire, and it doesn't look good.
What's the? How would you go about fixing it? Like, what would the process be?
Well, I mean, take away the fire. They were gone. No one was allowed in Jasper for, what was it, 3-4 weeks? Mm-hmm. If you're not watering your greens for 3 to 4 weeks, you're not cutting your greens for 3 to 4 weeks, you're almost starting from scratch. Just on the greens. Take away the fire. Like, they've told me that their plan is to open at some point next year. Exactly what point that is, but I'm just kind of thinking of the greens themselves. It's a short season there anyways. They always close, right at the end of September. They usually open a week into May just to get the greens back after doing nothing for them for the month. That's probably July 1. It would be my guess for a first opening date, and that's not taking into account anything to do with the fire. And
Just the fact that it wasn't maintained for these last 4 weeks.
Wow.
right. So now what the fire does, like, I have no idea.
Do you lay down sod? Do you reseed? Is the soil messed up?
Depends on what they're going to get for insurance money and stuff, because sodding's probably the answer.
Yeah.
But that's a boatload of money. So if they're insured and can sod it all out, and with the trees, I mean, the beauty of the trees that are there is
that's
lost.
We
and
played
things like that.
Talking Rock out in Chase, BC, and that's a year ago was the big fire out there, the Scotch Creek fire, and I knew it had gotten the course, but it was open this year and we played it. And it used to be, if you're on a hole at Talking Rock, you see your hole and no other hole. It's a great course. And because there's just so many trees, and kind of like Riverside here in the city, a lot of the greens kind of narrow as you go, and there's just trees everywhere. And now Talking Rock, like, the course is still great and intact in fairways. I don't know how it quite didn't get touched, but it's basically a links course now.
Wow.
All
trees
those
are all
trees are
gone.
burnt out. It was eerie.
So they're still there. The trees are still there. They're just burnt.
Well, they spent, I think, a big chunk of the off season basically clearing all these trees and piling them up. So it's very dystopian. It's just these, like, the one green, number 4, used to be completely shrouded by forest, and now you can see for miles, and it's just burnt out fields, basically. Wow. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'll bring up my phone. I'll show you guys that picture. I'll get it on my phone here. But it's, like, that's probably what's going to end up having to happen there as well, right? Because they...
You can't replace the trees or anything like that. That's
No, just
whatever's been burned.
Just over time, right?
That's the time thing.
It's kind of one of the thing about fires. Like, I mean, obviously they're horrific, but it's also kind of nature's way of resetting. And
yes,
100 years ago things burned out and they grow back better than ever. And now it's just like we have all these nice cabins and stuff. So it's it's like it's burning through some of the things we love. Yeah. No,
but nature's meant to have the
walks.
trees. It's generally is what happens, and new grows. Isn't it? It's like one of those great sayings that I don't know what the saying is, but it's in line with that it burns down, the growth comes from it and all that. So, that's
devastating for sure.
Yeah, well, they'll figure it out though. They have the right people out there. I would assume that they'll be able to get that going. It's just a matter of when they get it going, but they'll have it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the 100th anniversary of JPL next year.
Oh, is it?
So, I mean, I would guess that they're going to put every resource they possibly can into getting that place back up and still,
have some season,
have some type of season and celebrate their 100th year.
It'll take time. People will cherish it though. Even Kananaskis, like they were rebuilding for what, 4 years?
5 years.
Yeah,
it was,
right. So, and Bob Paley out there, and they do such a great job. And now, people, I don't know, I won't take it for granted, right?
No.
Like, it's one of the great places on earth.
Yeah, like these natural disasters that happen. I mean, it makes you really appreciate life and things that you get to enjoy. I mean, we didn't get to enjoy Kananaskis for 5 years. Right now, we're not getting to enjoy Jasper, which we all have stories and memories of Jasper. I proposed to my wife at Jasper Park Lodge. I was actually at Jasper Park Lodge when I was evacuated.
Jeez.
When the fire happened. Well, she did say yes. Lucky for me, I guess. But yeah, it was, so it has memories for all of us. It's a special place. And when we go back, when we all will, and we're going to just appreciate it, as you said, that much more, right?
This is kind of a grim, but it's also funny and in a way, but it has to do with the fires. My buddy's from Jasper, and his parents' place was there. They had to evacuate, obviously. And his dad was hoping that their place burnt down because he didn't want to put money into renos.
Oh, man.
Did it burn down? No. Oh. So thankfully it didn't. But he's like, now he has to renovate.
That was the chance.
He set up a win-win for himself in his head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But my buddy was like, we're tracking it as things were progressing, and he's like, oh, it's bad. And my buddy's place burnt down. This place burnt down. Mayor's place, this, that. And he goes, my place is still standing. My mom and dad are not happy because they don't want to do renos.
Well, some of the stories of where the fire hit and didn't hit, like it's kind of crazy. Like I saw one story, a person's house burnt down, but parked in the driveway was a vintage Corvette that was completely untouched, and it was in perfect condition.
That's incredible.
Right beside it, the house was burnt to the ground. So.
There was a picture from the fires in Hawaii from a couple years ago where like everything is burnt down but one house, and like there's just one person that somehow was escaped it, and just like why that one?
Yeah,
how does that one house not get touched? Wild how all that happens. And
well, we're getting a couple recommendations via the inbox. Paris Jewelers inbox. Water Valley Boys. That track is a great hidden gem. Bronco Nick saying Silvertip is great. And then this one says, same with 14th Tee at Talking Rock. So in regard to something we were talking about.
Yeah, that was the fire that basically moonscaped it. Yeah, 14 Tee. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, you're right. So 14 on the right-hand side, it was all forest, and now it's just field.
Silvertip is a love it or hate it place.
I've heard that.
Yeah, some people absolutely love it, and some people hate it because there's a lot of blind stuff. You're never going to get a flat lie because beautiful views. Mountain golf is always beautiful.
A lot of elevation changes. Yeah, for sure. But Silvertip and Stewart, not cheap either these days. Oof.
Well, Stewart didn't winter very well. They were half price. Almost at least halfway through the season. I think they're probably pretty good shape now, but they were like just devastated coming out of the gates this year. There's a few courses down in Calgary but they were right there with a lot of devastation with winter killing their greens and fairways and stuff.
I love how golfers could just remember holes from all sorts of courses, like the number of courses we remember and the holes on them, and we could picture them and. Good use of the brain, like the storage of that, how we could just go through all these, and you're just sitting there going, that hole,
You know what's a little life hack, honestly, is, when you're a kid, you count sheep. So if I'm laying awake and I need to go to bed and I'm trying to fall asleep, I will take myself through my last golf round, shot by shot. Yeah. Now, for me, it's more shots to remember than, say, Murray, but I'll take myself, and I never get through the round, ever. And then I fall asleep. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm going to try that. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think about your round after the night of?
No. Usually I'm MFing myself because I'm so mad at how bad I played.
Especially if you played half decent. Like, let's say you made 5 or 6 mistakes, maybe that cost you strokes. If you're laying awake and you just count shot by shot and try to figure out how many strokes you could save, you'll never get through the round. You always fall asleep.
It's always putting for me. It's always putting.
Yeah.
Well, that's such an interesting comment you just made, because even when you play well, you had the best game of your life, perhaps. Do you not look at it afterwards and go, man, if I just would have made that 1 4-foot putt that I missed and that one ball I hit in the water or whatever it is, I could have shot this instead of that. Like, there's never a round ever that you don't think, man, that I
it had to be like a personal best.
until you shoot 59 one day, you're just never going to master it,
Yeah. Well, like last year, I had a heck of a round I was playing in a senior match play event at the ranch against another pro. I made 10 birdies in my round, but I ended up shooting 64. I had 3 bogeys.
Damn.
So I'm like,
you usually don't do either of those things.
Man, I made 3 freaking bogeys. Like, I'm like, God, I could have been 61. Oh, but so you're happy that you have a great game, but it could have been better. And we all, no matter what level you're at, you always, there's never a rally. You didn't leave something out there.
That's so true. So true. But I've learned to get past it very quickly. A social sparkler or 2 on the 19th hole always helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I try not to dwell. But that's actually, I like that idea, Walks. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, it's good. And again, this is what I've told Angie, my fiance. Because once in a while, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just things don't go your way, or you're slicing or you're hooking or whatever it is, and you got to recognize at some point in the round, okay, like if you love playing well, it's not going to be the story today. So why are you here? Why do you like it? Is it because of the outdoors? Is it because you're just chasing, the perfect shot? Is it because you crack a beer and turn up the music on your cart? Is it you're enjoying friends? Like whatever. You got to pick what you're going to enjoy, because the second you get all miserable, no one wants to play with you.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Yeah, checking clubs and swearing and yelling and screaming. It's like,
Yeah, or being all pouty or
Golf is supposed to be fun. Enjoy it. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't always play our best. We don't always have our best rounds, but you don't need to, have everyone else that's around you being like, oh, look at this guy throwing clubs and being a jerk. Like, just relax. Enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy nature. Yeah.
That's when I stopped keeping score. That's for me. I know when the round's
you're the
not
one
there.
Who swears all the time. You're yelling. You can hear you 4 holes away.
I
don't yell.
And swear.
I swear. I don't yell.
Just do the happy face, sad face, medium face on your scorecard.
I've done that. I've done that somewhat. No, but it's also in the end. I also know that when I stop scoring, I'll sit at bed at night and I'll go through my score, and I can count my score. No matter what happens, I'll still be able to count my score afterwards, even if I don't write it on the scorecard. But I'm just gonna, at that point, to me, when I'm not marking it down, it's like I feel like there's like a freedom that comes, and I actually usually end up playing a little bit better because I'm not thinking as much. I'm just there to have fun, and when I do have a bad shot, it's whatever. Who cares? I'm not keeping score.
Are you playing now? Because
I've had 1 round.
1 round. Because
First, I have the trophy in my office. Would you like me to get it? First annual, 37th annual Franco's Golf Tournament champion, first place. It's in my office.
All right, so that's what Zach told me yesterday when. Came in for the show that you won a golf tournament. I'm like, what? I didn't even know he was playing. And now
that was the first round of the year. I never missed Franco's golf tournament.
And you won.
My group, we won. I committed. I brought in a few chips and some putts.
So you
I didn't do much help.
contributed.
I did contribute.
All right, good job.
Beyond vibes.
What course was that?
Legends.
Legends.
Yeah.
And you had fun?
Always. That's my favorite one.
Good?
It's a vibe.
Shoulders
We went
good?
there thinking, I think so. I didn't do anything above a 6 iron.
So you had Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith on your scramble team, or how did that work?
No, actually, well, the group we have, the 2 brothers have played a lot of tournaments together, but we've all played tournaments together for the most part, and we work well with each other. We know when to use our mulligans. We have some like decent drives, but I'm also the winner of the 35th annual Franco's Golf Tournament. This was 37th annual. That run, we had a guy that could just bomb it. So at Legends, where it's like, I can't remember which hole it is, like the number wise, but it's dogleg left, like, and there's like the logo there and the tees up above. I don't know if you recall that one.
Played there once.
Which one?
It's like before you come up the hill, there's like, that's where they have the rocks with the Legends logo on it.
Oh, that's the first hole of, I think, Champions.
No, it's middle of the rounds.
Oh, okay.
It's-
Wait. So that's coming
Okay, I have to
I
do
think
it
that's
around
8.
7.
7, sorry.
No, wait.
Of traditions?
9, 8, 7. It's 6. It's after a par 3 downhill.
Right.
But it's like we were behind the hole after the tee box. That's because these guys could just bomb it.
Yeah.
Like most people are at
You
the
can
bottom
drive
of the
back
hill or
because there's
something.
water on the right? Or in
Yeah,
front?
it's water in front, and you
Yeah.
could go, but it's hard to get like to the green, and it's like a massive hill, and there's a big slope, and most people would get to the front of it or something. We were behind the green because these guys just had this massive bomb, and because it's tournament play, they had you go from the whites.
Yeah.
So they were golfing well ahead of what they should, and we were taking full advantage of it. That's why we won the 35th annual Franco's Golf Tournament.
That's right. And you got to make the putts when you get up there.
True.
So you got 2 trophies sitting in your office.
No, the 35th isn't. That's at home. 37th is here. I also, though, brought my Tecmo Super Bowl championship here, just because Hernan's coming, and me, Hernan, and Dusty were involved with Yukon Jack in winning that one, and I'm the champion and the greatest Tecmo season in Tecmo Super Bowl history.
Your folks must be like Walter and Phyllis Gretzky, hey, with their basement just full of the trophies.
I also have my sauerkraut.
Do the neighborhood kids knock on the door to see them all?
To look at all.
Yeah.
I also got my jar of sauerkraut from winning the race at the Riverhawks game. So my office is full of a few things right now.
When does the Iwanyk Tecmo Bowl champion and Selly hockey hat come out with you in your,
I should
your
do
basement
that.
with all
I was
the
actually
trophies on the
thinking of,
cover?
when you said it, doing a T-shirt that said "Mix in a water."
Yeah.
That's your line from EST.
That's a great one.
I'll have to do maybe some Tecmo one.
That'd be awesome.
The Northside Grind is my team.
I like that.
I just got, I don't know. I have those miserable trophies, but 37th annual Franco. So I have golf. I'm going to get maybe 2 or 3 this year, and then I'm I had a labrum surgery. So that's where I've been out this year.
He's back, baby.
So no drivers all year?
I'll save it till next year. I won't lie. I have not been good enough with my strengthening rehab. I haven't been as consistent as I should. So I'll take the winter. I will do it properly. I will strengthen it up, get it up to where it needs to be.
Get you
Next
some
year,
of that Russian gas.
get going.
Hey,
You want to hear a quick golf story it'll make you vomit. Like I try not to take it as seriously, but I go and play in that Lacombe Men's Open, and it's a perfect mix between, they do flighted match play. It's a perfect mix between a party weekend in early July and serious competitive golf. And my dream is to bring home a trophy from my flight one of these years at Lacombe. And this year I was in the quarterfinals, so I needed to win to move on to the playoffs on Sunday. And I was playing the lights out. Like, I was shooting lights out. I was playing so great. And I was like 4 up with 4 to play.
Lost.
Cruising into the final. And the guy I was playing, at about hole 12, he started not moaning, but 12, he's like, "Hey man, you got me. You're playing great." I birdied the 2 toughest holes back to back. He was just defeated, and I'm like, "Hey man, like, it's golf, man. Anything can happen. Like, just keep playing, and anything can happen, right?" Like, I don't know why I just didn't step on his throat. So I'm up 4 with 4 to play. He makes a bomb on 15. If he missed, it was over. I had him, but he made a bomb on 15 on the green to force the next hole. I was like, "Hey, good for him." So I'm 3 up, and I lose 16, I lose 17, I lose 18, I lost the playoff.
no.
Like,
Unbelievable.
awful. I was not okay.
How did you go and recount your round that night?
Well,
or did you drown yourself in booze? Or how many happy and sad faces on the golf cart?
I mean, the thing is, I shot probably my best round of the year, because even all those holes I lost, I bogeyed, and he just made pars. I would hit the bunker or whatever. And all you just made one shot, like make one good shot, hit one green, hit one putt, and I've never, because generally golf's pretty fun, but I've never experienced that before, where, like, it's not basketball. I couldn't call timeout. I was bleeding.
Yeah.
And the momentum switch, like, he went from basically wanting to concede to, like, he was running to his ball to hit it. He was feeling so good,
Well, and Lacombe, 15, 16 of those 2 brutally hard back-to-back par 3s.
That's right.
So I can actually see that if he's hits good shots on the green and you didn't hit the green.
And then
eight is easy. Par 4.
Yeah, I hit the bunker though.
You hit the bunker.
Yeah, and then the playoff, we did hole 1 in the playoff, and I did regroup. Like, I was bleeding. I knew it. I went to the clubhouse really quickly. Splashed some water in my face and tried to regroup. And I did have about a 20-foot birdie putt on 1 to win, but I blew it by and missed the comebacker and lost.
Boy.
Yeah, but that was puke inducing.
Yeah,
Damn.
4 up with 4 to play and lost.
Like, it's hard to. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
that's hard to do.
Hard to bounce back from too. You're like kicking yourself. Like,
yeah, it was. Yeah, so there's the puke story from this year.
Damn.
Hey, Rory did it, or Rory messed up. There's with those couple putts that he had. What was that tournament?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
US
in?
Open?
It was the US Open. I was just trying to remember which major it was, but it was it was the US Open, and he had 2.
It happens.
2 putts, and like, even if Rory McIlroy has thrown those golf tournaments,
DJ 3-jacked from 6 feet at
2015 US Open at Chambers Bay.
Chambers Bay, that's right. Yeah,
that is one of my favorite US Opens, because it was just chaotic and all over the place.
Awful, and players hated it.
And that's what I loved about it. That's why I love the U.S. Open. I want the players to hate it.
But when it's them and they go through things that we do as hackers, quote unquote, it's kind of like, oh yeah, now they get a taste of our medicine, which is oddly satisfying.
Yes.
Even though you don't want to wish ill upon anybody, but I don't know. Like
Once a year, I'll wish ill on those players.
Yeah.
But just
Personally.
think about what a layman golfer would shoot on those golf courses from those tees and those conditions.
Oh.
Like, it'd be,
Good luck.
yeah.
What
Might
would
never finish.
so US like let's say it's at I don't know, let's say it's at Whistling Straits, okay, or Bethpage or whatever, and you are playing
Tips.
so what 7,500 yards.
Let's check
right,
Bethpage.
7,500 yards. Full rough, full fast greens. If you're a 10 handicap, which is a pretty good golfer,
Yeah.
what is a 10 shooting?
Not under 100.
Oh, I mean, no, not even close
Not
to
even-
100.
no.
120, 130, like counting all your strokes, no mulligans,
Yeah.
no breakfast
7,400 for Bethpage.
Yeah.
Black course, if we use that one.
You're a 10 handicap. Yeah, I would say, I don't really know, but I'd guess 100, 110.
Yeah.
120, that's getting to
Yeah.
be pretty big.
3 par
guess.
3s over 200 yards. 1 par 3, it's 161 yards from the tips.
It'd be interesting.
So just think about that right off the bat.
It'd be an interesting experiment. I don't have the length, so some of those.
7,500 is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you have to hit driver at 7,500 yards. So if you're not hitting it really straight, I mean, you're going to get punished with the rough there. The greens, though, I think a 10 handicap can get a handle on the speed of the greens.
Right.
Because a 10 handicap's still a pretty good player. So I don't think you're going to 4-putt. I mean, if you get on the wrong side of the hole, you might have a 4-putt somewhere, but I think you'd get a pretty good handle on the speed and be able to get in 2 or 3 putts.
I would just look. I think and it's just so long. I think bogey would be a generally pretty good score, and bogey golf is 90. But I mean, how often am I shooting par golf? Like not very often, right?
Yeah. I remember Mayfair after the LPGA. It was like a few days after, and like some of the stuff was still up, and we played it for whatever reason. It was hard. Like it was hard. I think I shot like 107 or something like that, and I was like,
What's
what?
normal for you, though?
84, 85.
So you're like a 15-ish
Yeah.
handicap, yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, and the rough was painful. Like, I'm like, what is going on? I'm losing like 30, 40 yards on every shot out of the rough. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I was in San Diego just after Christmas a couple years back, and I really wanted to get on Torrey Pines because it would have been weeks, like 3 weeks away or whatever from Farmers Insurance or whatever tournament they have there. And I want, like, it's being grown in, it's being set up for the tournament. I was like, I want to go see what it's like to get in the rough of that and how miserable my score would look after that round.
It was always a bit of a. It probably was never going to happen, but a bit of a pipe dream because, like, everyone wants to play Augusta.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or whatever. Like, you don't get to play it.
No.
But working in media, not that I ever covered the Masters, but it wouldn't have been beyond the realm of possibility to one day be in attendance and cover the tournament, and they do the draw. So, like, you only get to play it if you're this weird faction of media. Like, a lot of the Canadian media have played it because eventually they win the draw, right? James Duthie's played it.
Cam Cole.
Yeah.
Cam Cole got it 3 times.
damn.
Jerry D, when he was doing his reporting stuff, somehow
yeah?
he got to play it. Yeah.
Did Eric Francis ever win the draw? Because I know, or did he just go as a fan?
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever covered the Masters or he didn't win the draw. He has a great story, though. So he won the draw to play the U.S. Open because they do kind of the same thing.
That's cool.
And I think it was the year that Tiger was on one leg, made the big putt, and then beat Rocco in the playoff, the full day playoff. Remember that? So 2008?
Yeah, 2008-ish. I was in high school, I remember for that one.
Winged foot, maybe? I can't remember where it was. But anyway, so Eric had won the draw, and he knew he was going to get to play it on the Monday, and I think...
It was Torrey Pines.
Oh, it was Torrey. Okay, so he was going to play it on the Monday. Super excited, and then he's covering the final round, and he knew when Tiger was on 18, if he made that crazy putt, he wasn't going to get to play it. And Tiger made the putt,
Wow.
so no media got to play it the next day, and then it was Tiger and Rocco in the full 18 playoff, right?
Damn.
So
Oh,
So
jeez.
everyone was losing their mind, and he was sitting on the 18th green, being like, "Shit."
Damn.
Yeah, I would be too. Francis is a good golfer. He's really good.
He's good. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I want to just go cover Masters. We actually talked about it. We need to go try to sign up for a media accreditation next year,
exactly.
just to try to go play it. I don't care about actually covering the tournament that much, even though I love it. But it's like, you're right.
It's the only way, unless you know some Saudi prince or something, right?
Most people dream of playing Augusta, and people in the media actually have some sort of crack at it.
Yeah.
You just have to get that accreditation to get there, and once there, you go into this draw, and you might be able to do it. And then if you win the draw, I think you're out for 7 years.
I have a buddy, you might know, Ryan Vardy, cameraman.
Vardy, great guy.
So
Yes.
Vardy is ran a cameraman
I
Trying to get media
for a
accreditation.
bunch of
and go.
years.
He's always there.
Yeah, and so this is he's thinking this is probably his year where he's going to get the tap.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, why would Ryan Vardy get to play Augusta? Like, it's very random.
Right.
But, yeah.
But apparently TSN has a great rapport with Augusta, that they have one of the best location setups. Well, Vardy was telling me this because they're always there, the coverage they provide. I guess they built up a great relationship with Augusta, which is huge because they do a fantastic job. Their coverage of the Masters is actually awesome, and it's
Grim Dillette is a perfect guy to have.
He's awesome. Yeah,
working with him for that. For
yeah,
sure.
they have a.
Well, we're
great
lucky
setup.
because they also put it all on TV, all
And I think
morning.
that's part of why.
Yeah, whereas in the States, it's the app, so you have to go get a service until CBS / I think ESPN gets the Thursday, Friday, they take over. But here we get it all on TV, throw on TSN, and you got Amen Corner, you got the featured groups. I think you got one more channel until 12 or 1 o'clock when they go to network coverage.
Yes.
And we get all of it.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with why they've kind of built up favor. And then I think they're right there with Sky or one of the other BBC, something like that, they've kind of dug themselves in and
This is
made
maybe
fast friends.
unpopular sports fan opinion, but one of the reasons that I always I love the Masters more than any other tournament, and everybody has the reasons because most people do. But one of the reasons is because it's a bit of it flies in the face a little bit of what we've become accustomed to in our, we want everything now, we want full access, we want, there's no reason to never get anything you want as a sports fan. And Augusta in the tournament is just one of those things where it's you can't necessarily watch every shot of every guy. It's not that easy, right? And I don't know, it's almost like when I was a kid, I remember when Hockey Night in Canada went to the doubleheader, right? So you got more access. And I'm not original 6 old, but I grew up in Southern Saskatchewan. We had an antenna. I would only get to watch hockey Saturday night and then playoffs. And there was just, I would thirst for information. I would read newspapers that were days old. We didn't have internet yet, right? To as a kid, finding information on your favorite players, your favorite teams, and you'd get when your team was on TV, when the Oilers played, it was that much more special. And so I think technology is great. We would never go back the other way. You just wouldn't.
Right.
But at the same time, thirsting for access as a young sports fan and then getting these little wins, that's not something that today's generation would realize
and appreciate. I think
I kind of like that about Augusta. It's just well, I can't watch this. Well, then you'll like it even more when the coverage starts at 1 p.m. Then won't you?
Appreciate it a little bit more. That's a very, very valid point. Totally valid. Before we wrap hour number 1, Babbage Stash, this is something golf related, obviously. He sent in a couple of photos. He said, wasps are bad on the course this year, fellas. Make sure to turn the tab on your beers so they can't climb in unless you want the cart girl to look at you like you're a circus freak. And he sent in a couple of photos.
Oh my
His
God.
bottom lip is completely puffed out.
Goodness.
And the wasps, I noticed
that's my worst nightmare.
in Calgary were awful. I've noticed it here. When I was in Coeur d'Alene, they were really bad. Murray, have you guys been dealing with a lot of them on your course? I don't know why. Maybe the conditions were favorable for wasps.
I guess no mosquitoes though.
True.
But wasps are bad. For
Fergus Prostate came out to Central Casino yesterday for Green and Gold kickoff post-game shows. He showed up for part of it, and he said at St. Albert Rugby Club this time of year, always the wasps are bad. It's this time of year something happens with the wasps.
right now, and then you just wait till that first night where it gets to 0, then it kills them all off. But
I have one bite underneath this
wasp
knee,
or mosquitoes?
and then wasp,
Ooh.
and then another one here. That's how bad they were. I was on a patio in Calgary, and the waitress was zapping them with the zapper. That's how bad they were.
Well, we don't want wasps, but let's not wish for 0 degree days.
I agree. I agree. As soon as he said that, I was just like, ugh.
It'll come soon enough.
This one question comes to all of you guys because it says this question is for everyone on the show. If you can't warm up, what club do you tee off with? I'll use my hybrid when cold because I won't swing as hard.
That's smart.
All right.
Wow. Depends on the hole, I guess, because if on the golf course,
it's usually
some
4 or 5. I guess that would change it. Let's say a par 4.
Well, if it's a long par 4, I'm still going to hit driver. But
Yeah.
I mean, man, I'm an old man. I still need to stretch. Even if I can't hit some golf balls, I'm going to need to stretch and make sure my body's a little limber before. But I think that's his point, obviously. But a full swing is a full swing. You're saying like 6 irons. Yeah, you're not swinging a 6 iron as hard as your driver because it's not as long. So it's the club head speed isn't as much, but your body's still doing the same thing.
It's not but it's the contact on the ground and I'm worried about club head speed at that point.
Okay,
that's why I'm using.
I can shank a 6 iron just like I could shank a driver.
Yeah. So I mean, to him, I get his point because it's a little bit shorter club and whatnot, but your body's still swinging. The swing is still the same. Your body's moving the exact same, whether it's a 6 iron or a driver. So,
but I wonder if for him,
pull the driver.
It's in his mind mentally when he puts a driver, he's going to try to just really crush it.
Yeah.
And with the hybrid, he's more mentally in a spot where he knows he'll have the tempo and the right thing.
It did actually happen to me one time this year. We played at Banff on the way to a tournament out in BC, and I had the tee time wrong. I was on a Sunday, right? I did my show here. The guys picked me up right in front of the studio to get to Banff, and we rolled in, and our tee time was literally 5 minutes.
Oh,
so shoot. No putts, no drive range, no nothing out of right after a 4-hour car drive.
So you're stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of stretching. I was 3 under through 12 before I made my first bogey, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm never warming up again in my life. Because
just down a couple cold ones really quick, and it gets you back, gets you. It's almost like a stretch.
Swing lubricant.
I don't drink when I play golf, though.
I don't think I've ever not drank playing golf.
Same.
Yeah.
So. But, they spoiled us there. They rolled out the red carpet for us, and Steve Young that runs Banff, he knows that I don't drink when I golf, so he had 2 bottles of red sitting in my vehicle to enjoy later.
Very nice.
So I cracked him on the drive from Banff to Copper Point. I had
I don't.
a little wine involved.
I drink when I golf, but I don't drink when I drive. That's the difference.
I wasn't driving. I was a passenger.
If you can't warm up a club, or do you still? It doesn't matter.
No, I can miss any club equally, so I'll just
still go
hit driver.
I'm like Walks, but I unwisely, I guess, will take out the driver and still hit it. We got a couple follow-ups actually about the wasp thing because it's been that bad. This one says, just got back from a golf trip to Kimberley. Shadow Mountain was nearly unplayable due to the wasps. And then Aiden O'Neill says the wasps were even bad at the Metallica show in the stands last night before the music started.
Those things are evil, man. They are spawned from hell.
Well, you should see our beverage cart girls when they're trying to stock up their cars and things like that because they're so attracted to the sweetness or whatever.
The sugar and all that around.
They're getting just mauled by them. Like, don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Love to be able to help them somehow, but, it is just relentless.
There's got to be some tech somewhere. It's got to be.
There must be.
This is the EST Hangout. Matt Iwanyk, Murray McCourt, Andrew Walker, Tom Gazzola with here on Edmonton Sports Talk and EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tune in iHeartRadio as well as those watching on YouTube. Let's get to Hangout headlines, which is brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club, offering premier conditions, top-notch service, unmatched value. The place you want to go golfing for the next 2 months. Still, we're going to put it on 2 months
October
for the golf
20th,
season.
It's closing day.
Was that what you guys have it as?
Yeah.
Well, let's just make it still at 2 months, even though it's just a little less. Let's get right to that closing date. Book your tee time by visiting theranchgolf.com. The Edmonton Elks fall yesterday to the Montreal Alouettes, but they've won 3 of 4. We haven't had you on since the ownership change, though, which you said it, 2 months ago or something, that it was done with a single individual who was a season ticket holder, which ended up being Larry Thompson. What do you make, I guess, the 2-part loss yesterday, but Larry Thompson is the owner?
Well, with Larry Thompson, I mean, I think it's good. It was time. It wasn't working the way it was before. And I guess here's my question, though. Like, working with a board is never fun. I mean, I worked with boards running a golf course before and things like that. And boards are tough because they don't necessarily they think they know everything when they really don't. I mean, you got to hire somebody to run the organization and let them run it. And my understanding was the board was getting a little too involved and things like that, and not letting it the people that they hired run it as they should. But my concern with an individual owner is still kind of the same way. If him and his family and his kids or whatever are running around the office and sticking their nose in everything and not letting the people run the team the way they need to, that could be a problem as well. So I'm hoping that they'll just hire people and let the people do their job and whatnot. He's obviously not a great public speaker. That presser was something else. So the president they hire needs to be the face of the franchise and be the one in front of the cameras doing the talking. But he's obviously got money and hopefully and the right intentions. So let's hope that that plays itself out in a positive way and the fans are going to come back and the team can back in winning ways, because that's what he wants, and so hopefully that's what we get. And last night, I watched the game. I didn't expect that they were going to win. I expected it to it went the way I kind of expected it to go. But if a guy that you're the president of the fan club, Trey Ford, was healthy enough to play, the Elks won that football game.
How about Boris Beatty making a field goal for once to save his life?
In a critical moment, yeah.
Yeah,
22 of 29 on the year, I think now, which is not what they signed up for with him. They thought that he was going to be a lot better than that, and they probably could have gambled on third down and one at the end of the second half and tried to punch in a touchdown there and put their foot on the throat like you were talking
first half?
about earlier in the first half.
Yeah.
They probably could have done
Well, if Trey Ford was in, he runs that into the end zone. MBT came up just short.
Yeah.
But there was a few of us at Century Casino. Sandy, who's one of the guys that bets on the horses there that we've gotten to know. Myself, I think Dustin with a Y. A few of us were like, you go for that touchdown. And Jay was like, I think you kick the field goal. And I get most coaches, they're just very conservative and they take the points. But I'm with you. I would have went for that touchdown. Yeah. It was 2 yards.
But ultimately, I think it showed a lot. I think that they've turned a corner. That's the best team in the league that they had them for a while.
They lost 2 games to Montreal by a combined 7 points.
Right. So the Elks now have a very soft schedule moving forward. Trey Ford, I believe, is going to be healthy and play next week. And with a soft schedule with a lot of West teams coming up. And when's the last time the West division has sucked and the East has been the powerhouse?
Right.
But I think, as crazy as it sounds when they're 3-8, I think they're in a good spot that they could make the playoffs and could even win the division. It's possible.
They got to have a really good September to do that, though, because 2 against Calgary, 2 against Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's
3
huge.
of 4 must.
Yeah.
If you go 2-2, you're not making up ground. Like if you split Calgary, you split Winnipeg, you don't make up any ground with either of those teams. You're at the exact same spot as you are. You have to go sweep at least one of those.
Yep, 100%.
And then split the other one. So Labor Day is going to be big. I'm just looking at the rematch. The West side's looking pretty sold.
Wow.
There's not a lot of tickets available on the West side, and the East side's going pretty nicely too. So if they could grab a win on Monday against Calgary, that Saturday game, we might actually be able to discuss, could they sell out 31,000 lower bowl potentially, or at least have one of the closest things to 31,000.
That's what the lower bowl seats is,
31,000.
But then how many other people are there? Because there's the suites, and then there's, where I sit behind the glass, there's people and other suites back there and stuff like that.
That's a good question. I wonder if, because we had Dahmer on when they closed the upper bowl, and he said 31,000 lower bowl, but I wonder if maybe 31,000 available moving forward. Like that, if they sold out, quote unquote, sold out for the Elks, it'd be 31,000.
How many people would, in all those suites behind the glass, Tommy, do you think there'd be
at Commonwealth?
1,500 maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say a couple thousand. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
If they're all full.
They're all full and
yeah. Because it's not, that patio area is kind of big.
They have 26 seat suites or something.
Yeah.
26 seat suites. When you're looking at Ticketmaster and they count the spots, there's 26 in there or something.
Yeah, but
or 16.
You get the green and gold room people that just sit in the green and gold room.
Right, exactly.
Don't make their way out to the stadium too. Yeah,
enjoy the libations back there. Yeah, I think there is. So, just what's out in the stands is not really the full attendance for sure.
Totally, and I know people that sit in like the Jackie Parker room. Well, there might be like 50 of them during the game, and then I'm sure that Legends Club on the other side of the stadium. people remember when people would sit or stand on the north side of the stadium underneath the scoreboard? Was it CB's?
CW's bar.
CW's bar. There used to be
Why'd
2
they
or 3
ever
people
close
deep.
that? That was
Because it got too rowdy, I think it was, and that was their way of, instead of maybe trying to just police the crowd a little better and, you know, keep it as the
Hire more
spot to
staff,
be.
yeah.
They just got rid of it, and that was when like the first real vibe of Commonwealth left. Like you watch Bombers games, and it's the Rum Hut, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's a spot you want to be. You want to go be there. I remember being a kid seeing CWs, and I wasn't old enough, and it was like very hard if I had to go with my dad across the stadium. We had to go that way. Like it was tough to get through, but it'd be like, that seems like a great party. And to me, when we're talking about why the Elks have struggled a little bit with attendance, is that was one of the vibe spots that you had, and it was just gone. That and peanuts. People still want peanuts back.
Well, whatever happened to, like, you used to see literally 100 school buses out in front of the stadium with every bar in the city would sell a ticket
Yes.
and a drink and the transportation to and from the game.
I'll say I saw those buses yesterday driving by Commonwealth during Metallica.
Yeah.
I drove by Commonwealth on the way home, and it was at 9 o'clock. Show still, I think Metallica would have just got on, and it was loaded with taxis and buses, and it looked like an old
Football
school
games used to be.
Eskimos game back in the day, like Labor Day rematch. It was wild to see. And then people standing outside on the streets watching the concert, because at certain spots you could actually see their video boards and stuff. It's really wild.
That setup looked really nice. Like where they have like 8 of those screens, 100 feet in the air, and
Yeah, I never
like
saw it.
the stage in the middle.
Oh, for
Awesome.
Metallica?
Me and Metallica aren't friends. That's
No.
You're not a rocker?
not my kind of music.
Let me see if I can find it.
Jack Michaels was there. I would text him. I was like, I'm surprised you were there. I thought you were more of a Pink guy.
Yeah, that would have been. I was seeing a lot of people that were going to that show. It was the same. We went to Garth Brooks a couple years ago. Obviously, that the Commonwealth gets pretty up for that concert too.
It's good to see that the appetite. Well, the appetite for music's
Holy.
always there. We have a surprisingly good music appreciating populace, don't we? Like, I would say, because I saw a lot of people yesterday, like you said, walks, like you saw on Instagram or Twitter, people going to the shows, friends and stuff like that. And you're
They're
like,
coming from Red Deer.
yeah, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you like Metallica? And they're wearing like cut off shirts and ripped up jeans, and I'm like, you wear a suit every day. I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
But then they probably have cowboy boots. Yes, I said cowboy.
Cowboy.
And a cowboy hat. And they'll go to a Garth Brooks show at a Commonwealth Stadium too. So, chameleons out there.
Well, we've got a great music community in Edmonton.
Yeah, we do.
And Metallica's only spot in Canada was Edmonton.
Really?
It was.
Pretty sure.
Oh.
I don't think they've stopped anywhere else.
Because they were in Minnesota and Chicago last week, I think. So,
Well, if people come far and wide.
Well, they
like
knew
you said,
they knew they could sell out 2 shows. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
They probably could have sold a little more.
yeah, probably.
Like Garth Brooks, like he would go
He
to
could
places
sell
and
out as many. He could be there for weeks sometimes. Yeah.
and
Yeah, he
sell them
did
all
2
out.
in Edmonton at Commonwealth.
What,
I think it was 2.
Yeah,
Ross was there
a
for
couple summers ago.
I think it was 2 days.
But wasn't it a few
because he
years-
sold 1 and then they announced the second because
wasn't
they
it a
sold
few years
1.
ago? Didn't he do 4 or 5 or something?
Not at Commonwealth. Maybe a
Lots
Mosaic.
of places he does.
Yeah.
Though. Like I went to a Garth Brooks. I flew down to Minnesota to watch a Garth Brooks concert, and I think he did like 8.
Because he's
in
never
Minnesota.
wanted it to turn into this supply and demand thing. Where all of a sudden his tickets are $1 billion, $1 trillion
Right.
on the third market. He's like, we'll just do another show.
You know, I went to several Garth Brooks concerts in Vegas, and the way they had it set up in Vegas, you couldn't scalp the tickets. You could buy your tickets, but then you had to go pick them up like an hour before the show or 2 hours before the show. You had to go into this like through the hotel, and you get to this room. You had to show your ID and prove that you were doing it, so you couldn't.
Yeah,
scalp the ticket.
I kind of like it actually.
And then you got a bracelet too, so then you couldn't leave there and then sell it to somebody because you needed the bracelet too. So they had this whole elaborate system in place to ensure there was no scalping of tickets.
Hosier was in town on Saturday at Rogers.
Yeah.
And they had a full. You couldn't. There was no reselling of tickets.
Yeah.
And I don't know what their strategy was behind it, but for him or that band or that artist, there was something in place where you can't sell that because you're somehow not going to get in. I think maybe it has to be the ticket holder's name potentially goes in, and then you have to be with the ticket holder to get in. So you can't even transfer your ticket to someone. You have to, like if I bought tickets for all of us to go see Hosier, we would all have to show up together, and they'd have to see it's my name on it. I think.
Downtown was hopping on Saturday night.
Was it?
And it was raining
Oh.
pretty hard. Yeah. It
Sorry,
was
Montreal. Metallica did do Montreal. My bad. Thought I saw somewhere that
Where
were the
in
only
Montreal? Like
that were the only
Olympic
place.
Stadium?
Jess, thanks for tuning in. Jess Jackson. She told me.
Our
told us
Jess.
that. That's exactly it. Yep. So I was wrong, but I guess they did Montreal. Where is a good question.
Is that the first ever? Matt Iwanyk.
That's not a lot.
No.
Montreal, Metallica. Where would have they played?
Yeah.
Is Olympic Stadium still like...
They're renovated. They're putting like $850 million.
Hey, was
Really?
it Stade Olympique?
Oh, lovely. Sure, it was great.
Yeah, they're putting 800 million into it.
Yeah.
But we read, because I remember we were reading about this like a month ago or so, it would cost more to tear it down than it is to renovate it.
Yeah.
So that's why they're just renovating it and going to keep it going, is that it would just cost so much money to tear down Olympic Stadium and get rid of everything.
Because of the train or something like that. I've never.
Oh, that's
So
right.
what's going to be there, though? Are the Alouettes going to go back there?
No.
Or what are they,
The answer is no.
What's going to happen there, then?
Conventions, apparently, and one-offs. But yeah.
Concerts, Metallica. Maybe Metallica comes
yeah.
back again. Maybe Metallica comes there once a year.
Well, they can do Grey Cups there, maybe, no?
Yeah, but there's something. What were they talking about? Is Montreal kind of out of the picture for Grey Cups for the time being? Same with Calgary.
Those two are definitely out right now.
Yeah, because the stadium situations need to be sorted out. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, and people are looking at Molson Stadium and being like, they should probably look at something new.
But you can be like, even Vancouver, when I was living there, like, it is not a great sports town, but it is an unbelievable event town, right? And so, BC Place, people are ho-hum on the Lions, and there's like, the Whitecaps get, pretty good when they're good or whatever, when Davies was there, and but like, generally speaking, it's just not a great sports town, but they'll host the crap out of rugby sevens. They will sell it out, right? Like, they can do concerts, they can host World Cup games. Like, it's, and maybe Montreal can be like that if you consider yourself a world-class event type city.
Good point. I like BC Place as well. That stadium.
It's a great stadium.
Yeah, they did a phenomenal job.
I wish
with it.
the roof was a little more open.
Yeah.
But it's a great location.
It is. Yeah.
So if Edmonton was to throw a whole whack of money into Commonwealth Stadium, like, what would you guys do to it?
Walks.
Oh, that's a good question. And it's an invalid criticism because it is what it is. My thing about Commonwealth is it's just way too big, right? Like, I mean, I really like what they did in Regina with Mosaic. It's like a mini NFL stadium. It's perfect. All the sight lines are good. Whatever. I don't know about renovations. I like things that, say, they've done in Toronto with the Rogers Centre, making it more fan-friendly, common areas. You guys talked about the bar behind the end zone. I think stuff like that is so great because your sport can't just be always about the sport. It has to be about the social aspect. It has to be... So, yeah, I don't know about, particulars of renovations. My criticism has always been it's just too big, right?
Too big for what, though? For the football team?
Well,
or
yeah,
for,
I'm thinking for events I attend that
Yes.
are football games, right? And concerts, yeah.
Because that's where it's like, for me, I would agree for football. Like, CFL is a 25,000 seat league, 30,000 seat league nowadays, it seems.
I'm also easy though. I'm not a arena snob. I can find joy going to whatever arena, and I'm not looking around thinking, oh, this is terrible. Like, there are some terrible arenas out there, like in stadiums. McMahon is awful, right? Old. But even old Skydome, like, it's awful if you go to other stadiums. But in the moment when you're sitting there watching a Blue Jays game or whatever, it's fine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like the size of Commonwealth because we get the Metallicas.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's where it's not for the football team. I want to make sure we keep getting these concerts. If Taylor Swift was ever coming through to more spots in Canada, Edmonton would maybe have a crack at it type thing, and it'd be great for the economy. To me, the big thing I would always say, if they're going to renovate Commonwealth, is I would build the gates, the entry points outside of Commonwealth, and then have the gates where you come in from further outside, so that where the actual gates are now, there's free movement that you can have between those. Because the Concourse, there was videos of Commonwealth on Friday night, and I'm sure it was the exact same yesterday, which is jam-packed. You can't move.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you can allow free flow outside of the stadium, but you're not leaving the actual entrance of the stadium type thing, maybe that alleviates that with what Commonwealth is.
You were talking about it yesterday on the Green and Gold kickoff show, I think it was, and I was thinking that whole north side beyond the scoreboard on the outside where the smokers pit is, if they found a way, because there's those trees with the hill, very 70s when it was built, obviously very apropos, but if they took that out and extended the gates and made it like a secondary concourse and expanded it to like the expansion on the east and west sides and open that up so there's more flow that way, because there's nothing you can do on the south end of the stadium.
100%.
It is what it is. But if you create that kind of loop or
a little horseshoe around the
Yeah.
Commonwealth that you could walk around
Yeah.
Commonwealth while you're still though technically inside Commonwealth.
Right.
You could also set up vendors out there.
Exactly, and don't half-ass. If you took out those trees and you built like a nice washroom facility and vendors, like Maddie said, maybe even cover. I don't know, but there's a lot of space to work with, and all of a sudden you've got that extra flow where you can get people moving, and you don't have that congestion. If you do have a big event, like maybe that's a good temporary solution. But do it right. Don't put up cheap, crappy temporary fencing.
Yeah.
Like I would imagine everything gets value engineered because of price. But if you want to carefully do it and do it right, raise those trees in that grassy area, because there's like the little hilly part, and you still have plenty of sidewalk for people to walk out when they leave. And you turn it into a permanent part of the facility behind the scoreboard. I think that would work.
Well, because my thoughts are the inside part of the stadium is fine. It's the concourse, the space, the washing facilities, the vendors, the ability to have more and better vendors available. Those are the issues. The stadium to me is fine. And here's my other question. I'm curious if the Elks got winning again. Because yes, in most markets it's 25,000 is lots, but this is Edmonton and it's a sports town, as you were saying, Walk. So, what do you think would come out to games if they turn around and get winning again?
I'm trying to remember, like, when was the last time, and I wasn't living here, but when was the last time you went to your place of work different? I mean, you guys have always worked in sports, but you're going to your office. And the talk is, it's a big Elks game or a big Eskimos game, like this Saturday. Like
I remember 08, the
long time
Saskatchewan
ago.
game,
Yeah.
where it was 62,000. They were selling standing seats behind the riders' bench. Maybe a Labor Day rematch, but 2018 was like the last like uptick in season seat purchases because of the Grey Cup. But then after that,
that's pre-COVID. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I'd have to say, if I had to guess, it would have to be 15, probably playoff West final.
That's
but it'd have to be but we're talking playoff, not regular season. If we're going to say regular season, it would have to be a Labor Day rematch from probably before that, I would say.
A big game where it's the water cooler talk, right?
Yeah.
Like people, when you're talking about the Elks around the water cooler the last few years, you're debating two things: the name change and B, just how bad they are, right?
Yep.
And how you
the home losing streak that there
darken
was.
the day, or you'll never darken the doorway again.
Yeah.
Well, is it unrealistic to think that they won't get 45,000 fans if they turn? I think even this year
I don't think
get that many.
If they win against Calgary next week.
I think 40 is tough.
A few more wins together.
I would think maybe closer to 35. I also, though, go to the mindset, if they sell out all their tickets for the lower bowl, I said this going into this season, and I still stand by this, I would not open up the upper bowl. I wouldn't sell those extra couple of thousand seats. I would try to make it, because the history of this franchise has always been you could always get a ticket. Yeah. You could always get a ticket. No matter what, you could always get a ticket. And that, I think, hurts this franchise as well, because you don't have to commit. Maybe that's why it's not water coolers, because no one's pre-planning because they have to go to this game. Because, if I want to go to the Elks game, I could decide that day. I could look at the weather. I could look at everything.
Yeah.
If you get to a point where all of a sudden they sit there and be like, we've jammed Commonwealth from what we're doing. Look at this atmosphere. You do the right social media posts that don't show the upper bowl, but the fact that look at how crazy this atmosphere is, supply and demand type thing here, and maybe you could build a little bit of urgency, and people go, well, I got to get my tickets for the next game because I don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
I don't like if you know that you can get an extra 10, I think you do it. If you don't know you only get an extra 2, 3, I think you keep the upper bowl closed. So that's where I don't know if they would. 40 would be tough.
Yeah, maybe. But what if they end up hosting a playoff game? I mean, because it's not out of the realm of possibility right now.
They got to go run. They got to go on a run.
Yeah.
What did 2015 do?
It was good. I remember watching it in DC.
I think it was
And it was like a 35, 40,000 people crowd on a nice November day. And they won that game. It was a good celebration after. And then
November 22nd, 34,414.
yeah.
37,000?
34,000. So I don't think this team would get better than that right now.
Yeah, maybe not.
That was a great season. They hadn't lost since Labor Day rematch. Like, they won Labor Day rematch and rattled off just win. Played Calgary, spot in the Grey Cup on the line, and they still didn't even get 35,000. So that would be the line, I would say.
Well, and then also I don't. You guys have to tell me. I don't necessarily know. I know in the 80s, obviously, Oilers and Eskimos just went hand in hand, right? It was just this championship and that championship and whatever. And now, I mean, the second the temperature starts to turn, this town is going to be so into hockey mode, right? like this, and I'm sure we'll talk about the Oilers a little bit, but this should be the year. Like, last year was amazing after that 2-9-1 start.
Yeah.
Right. But this year, like, there's no reason why, everyone knows that they should probably win the President's Trophy.
Yep.
In my opinion.
No,
anyway.
fair.
And so for me, that's always been if for whatever reason I wasn't overly enamored with the CFL season, the second the puck drops, my mode is shifted. Right. So I don't know what percentage of people in town are the same way. But I know it's probably never been hotter for Oilers around here.
You winning the President's Trophy with that defense?
Yep.
Probably. Even
Really?
still, yeah.
I think it's
not about, like, you're just trying to. Yeah, the defense right now is like it's not great. It's not a Stanley Cup winning D, but they don't think it is either. That's the whole thing. They'll they give themselves some time. They see what works, see what doesn't.
Yeah.
They'll add now.
Kevin
they have the room
Shattenkirk.
to add another. They'll probably add an average name, and at the deadline add a big name.
Yeah.
And but that's kind of the point.
Yes.
That team can win the President's Trophy. Can they win a Stanley Cup as currently constructed? They need to add, but they can still be a top 5 team. I mean, if they didn't start 2-9-1 last year, they would have won the President's last year.
Yeah, and a lot of people probably don't remember the New York Rangers won the President's Trophy last year, and not a lot of people give them love and appreciation. And they're a really good team.
Was begging for the Rangers in the final.
Yeah,
Okay?
that would have been great.
Oilers win the Cup if they face the Rangers in the final.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway,
But
it's kind of, but it's.
So yeah, they were 10 points back of Presidents just last year.
even if they won a few of those games, they were right there.
Can they do? And they is their defense completely that much worse than last year? What they had? Oof. On top of that.
Well, so when though? Are you
for like the whole year? If we're looking at
the season started,
well, the whole year. The Oilers you look at the defense that they have now. Is it better, worse, the same as last year?
But also forward. Be there that played in Game 7 of Broberg and Ceci.
But I'm talking about getting to the President's Trophy.
Sure.
Because they were 10 points back. But then also you have to add on top of that, is the forward group better, same, or worse? And I don't think you could say that.
Better.
You'd have to say it's better. So does that balance out things? And then
is the goaltending better, same, or worse? Probably better. You don't have Jack Campbell dragging you down for a month and a half.
So can you make up those 10 points? Well, it would have to be 11 points to go get Presidents, and I would have to say then,
it's hard to win 13 or 16 in a row, but they hopefully won't have to do that.
Right. You just have a consistently good year.
Yeah.
But when you're and they got pretty lucky still with injuries last year, but over 82 games. Everyone debates these little things, and it's Ceci and Broberg, but over 82, Troy Stetcher's going to play games. The new Emberson kid, he's going to play games. You don't want to have 13D rotating in and out, but injuries happen, right?
Absolutely.
And that's just how it goes. So
exactly.
you're gonna use all those guys. You're gonna use a little bit of depth.
Yep.
Last year they didn't use a lot of D, right? But
no.
Vinny Desharnais, no one's really crying that he's gone. He played 70 games last year.
Yep. And then he fell out of favor in the postseason.
Well, and that for me, it was tricky because everyone loved the story. Everyone loved his try hard. He was up and down, obviously, but limited minutes, and he could kill penalties. And then when they drew Broberg in, you're like, oh my god, they're not even close. Broberg's a player, So I'm not gonna say that they'll miss Broberg exactly what he was, but. I like Broberg. That's
Same.
That's a tough one for me, right? I was looking forward to that guy at 1 point whatever,
Yeah.
being on your
Not
third pairing.
4.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, he would have been second pairing because he
Might have been
settled
second
Nurse
pairing.
down.
Yeah.
He somehow, some way, he settled Nurse down and made Nurse a better player.
Well, I
to
think
me,
getting the puck out of your zone with your legs helps.
Everything
Not
is-
having Darnell defend.
The whole game now is turning, puck retrieval, picking up cleanly off the wall and making a
And
play.
out,
And
yeah.
you know, and Broberg can do that.
Yeah.
You know.
so to me, the biggest question on the defense is, yes, all those pieces, I agree, there's upgrades going to have to come. But what are you getting out of Darnell Nurse?
He needs to be better.
He needs
Simple
to be,
as that.
He needs to be better. And you need to find a partner that can work with him. Like it was looking like Broberg was that guy, and now he's gone. So who can you pair with Nurse to help Nurse along a little bit? Or can Nurse turn his game around to
he
be
needs
what
to.
he needs to be?
Those are legitimate concerns and legitimate questions, but I mean, what a luxury that like they don't need to figure out those things in order to finish first or in order to make the playoffs. Like they'll do that in their sleep, and you have all year to figure that out. But yeah, they need Nurse to be great. They need to go and add a stud at the deadline, like another Ekholm, right?
Right.
Like.
And Ekholm, another year older, like you look at that top pairing, if you're going to have to ride Bush and Ekholm as a pair for 25, 26 minutes a night because you don't have the depth down below, he's not young anymore. So
Yeah.
are you wearing him out before, it's a long season and you don't want him at his age playing 25 minutes a night, which I feel like you might need to.
Yeah. He plays a style, though, that kind of, I don't want to compare him to Pronger. That's not fair, but it seems like Ekholm's style of play is sustainable. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't look like he's taxing himself always up. Maybe that's just him
that's
being
fair.
mature, but you're right. Like he's going to be 35 here.
But they can do that, right? Like again, they're gonna win. Their forward group is so good. I think Skinner, knock on wood, he's been through enough now that guy should just be a legit, confident number one.
Yeah.
Right. And you can manage. Like I'm not saying you do the whole Kawhi load management thing, but like Ekholm doesn't need to play 82, right? Darnell Nurse doesn't need to play 82. It's not going to be the perfect D. But over 82 games, you'll be good enough.
Yeah.
As it is to evaluate what you have and then add later.
Correct.
I think made the
anyway.
arguments for the somewhat load management for a few years, and I've been ripped hard on the text line and
What
stuff
about
like
load
that.
management in game? What if
Not
like
your,
Watson?
yeah.
What
not,
if you're
not when you're healthy, but like if you're
Yeah.
banged up, if you're last year when you're 2-9-1, it's like we got to win 80% of our games
Yep.
to make playoffs. Like there was no load management last year,
Right.
Right.
There's points where I've seen it where don't rush that player back.
Yeah.
But they try to.
Right.
And it's just why.
What if you're playing in San? This is a hypothetical, obviously. What if you're in San Jose and it's a 3-game road trip and you had a back-to-back and you're up like 4-1 in the third period? Well, you don't have to play Ekholm and Bouchard every second shift. You can go to pairing 3 or 2
Change the
and
minutes
3 a
around.
little bit more, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're looking at the stat sheet. We're doing the post-game show, and it's like, oh, Matthias Ekholm played 18:40 today. Evan Bouchard played 19:05 with 3 minutes on the power play.
Yeah, perfect.
That's better than a 25, 26-minute night
100%.
where they have to be out there for the last minute of the game sitting on a 1-goal lead.
So yeah, if they can outscore it, if
Yeah.
these forwards that they got in, they can mesh and blend well, and I think Skinner could freaking have a hell of a year playing with Leon Draisaitl.
The potential is there.
And
You got Skinner, you
Arvidsson.
got Arvidsson. I love Arvidsson.
Yep.
If he can stay healthy.
If he can stay healthy, yeah. You got a whole year of Henrique, which is a bit of a surprise to me.
Agreed.
That's not one that I had in the roster construction when the playoffs ended. You lost some guys too, but I think not to lump all fans in the same boat, but fans they get hyper fixated on little things, and some of those little things, like, they're not going to matter for a while, right? They're just not.
Yep.
You got to look at the big picture, and the big picture is your team is really, really good, and you have. For so many years, not just this market, but other markets too. You're like, we can make the playoffs, like we could be a contender if this happens, and if this happens, and if this happens, and you got 6 or 7 what ifs, and that's the mark of a team that's probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be that way as an Oilers fan anymore. Like, the playoffs are I don't see a world where they don't make the playoffs. I don't see a world where they're not playing in a big game in the conference finals. So all those little things, not that you're going to solve them or
Yeah.
not that you're going to take care of them, but you got time.
Yep. The hyperfixation, I'm glad you brought that up, Walks, because there was last week I hopped on with the guys in Montreal, Mitch Gallo, and they were asking about Broberg and Holloway and the fallout. And they just go, so what's the big deal with Broberg and Holloway? We're talking about a third pairing defenseman and a fourth liner here, right? And I was like, and in my moment, I thought about it. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? But then it's like, aha, they're seeing it from the outside, and they don't understand the process that both of those players went through, the up and down. And at the end of the day, like, that is essentially what the Oilers lost. Now, Broberg potentially is a top 4 defenseman day to day. Holloway could move up in the lineup. He's 1 or 2 years away, or would have been 1 or 2 years away from being a regular with McDavid or Draisaitl.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, like when they said that, and they're covering the Habs, and they're hyper fixated on the Habs, and they're going, what's the big deal with losing these 2 guys to St. Louis? Like, what are they? And I was like, excuse me? And then you think about it again, and you're like, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. So yeah, that is a good example of how we, just really, really oversaturate our minds into 1 or 2 thoughts, at a time.
And I like both those players, and they represent former first round picks, right? And those are important. And 9 times out of 10, you want to keep your young, controllable players, internal,
yes.
for sure.
Yep.
That said, like, there's something about sports teams when you have, like, everybody wants to win. Mm-hmm. But when you have a chance to win, actually win, or like where, hey, a championship, a Stanley Cup, or bust, that's literally where Edmonton is right now. And they haven't been like that, since the 80s. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at this through the tunnel of the only thing that matters is McDavid and Draisaitl winning a championship today, if that's the filter you're looking at, then the Brobergs, the Holloways, they don't matter, mm-hmm. right? Like, but most organizations, I would say, you have one eye on the present, and you have to have one eye on the future for sustainability. We can't be giving away our 22-year-olds, and generally, I agree with that. The mistakes with these guys, more so Broberg for me. That's the guy I'm fixated on. Holloway, I'm whatever on.
They've got forwards.
Yeah, the Broberg thing, the failure was not getting him in at the 1.7 or 1.8 or whatever. He would have had to do it, way back when. And then as luck would have it, and you play those extra games, making him eligible, and St. Louis sees the same things we do. I look at Broberg, and I think that's a top 4 guy eventually. And where the Oilers are right now, it's like we can't pay $5 million for a guy that, maybe is a top 4, but maybe he needs other year of seasoning. Like,
Walks, he had 10 good playoff games.
Yeah, really good playoff games. I loved him.
Yep. If we look at a big picture, he had 10 good playoff games, and that's what we're hitching our wagon to. Yeah. Because you look at the start of last season, he was bad. He did not have a good preseason. He had a bad start to the season, got sent down, had the thing with his agent tried to say Kenny Holland and the Oilers gave them the green light to negotiate a deal. I've had people tell me that they think Broberg was so displeased that he might have just walked anyway after the next contract. Or didn't want to stick around anyway. Now, that was a personal opinion from someone around the team. If that would have happened or not, time would have told us. But he was willing to. If you sign a offer sheet, you want to leave. It's part of you wants to leave. Dylan Holloway. We're going to get into this in the oil stream, obviously, later today. But Dylan Holloway from the Calgary area. His family's down there. His parents come up, watch every game. I think his girlfriend's down there. I think there's some mobility issues with one of his family members. They can't go to St. Louis and hop in the car and drive to the game.
There's no way that Holloway and his agent didn't think that the Oilers were going to match.
Exactly. So there was a bad instinct, or
it was a bad bet on their part.
Expecting the Oilers to match, say they're going to do it for sure.
We'll get the money and we'll stay.
Yeah, the Broberg thing, like, again, when what did he want, 1.8, and they probably wanted more 1.4, and then someone throws 4.25 in front of you, you're just signing it. Like, that's just how it is.
Multi-year too.
The Holloway thing,
I never got it from the start.
Yeah, and I
From the
understand.
player perspective.
Bad bet.
Like have some,
Bad
like,
bet.
but have some confidence in yourself.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like yeah, you doubled your money. You're up to 2 and whatever, and that's a lot of money. Obviously, for anybody, that's a lot of money. But when I look at like, there's a chance that Broberg would have never ever made that money, right?
Yep.
Like maybe you're just a guy, right? Holloway's like gonna make over 2 here.
Yes.
Right?
And he was a year or 2 away from getting that payday.
Getting that Warren Fogle deal.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Like,
Yes.
3
Plus, there's a
9
chance at the cup at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the part that I just didn't understand. It wasn't like he wasn't the Broberg where it's a massive pay raise that you're sitting there like, yeah, you take the money.
Yes.
This is one where, yeah, you're giving up overall over 2 years, what? $2 million, maybe $1.8 million or whatever it is. And that's a lot of money. That's tough to tell somebody not to do. But you, like you're saying, like, you're going to be playing for the Edmonton Oilers. One, you'll have a shot at the Stanley Cup for one thing. And two, you'll increase your value because you're still a young player. We're not talking about a 35-year-old here.
No.
And here's at the same time, I guess here's a guy that, like if he didn't have the odd game in the playoffs, like, okay, you're playing 6 minutes. Like, you're not guaranteed, right? St. Louis, him and Broberg, they'll run them out there every second shift no matter what.
They'll get playing time.
Yeah, for sure. And you're Holloway. You watch them bring in Arvidsson. You watch them bring in Skinner, which I was a little surprised they brought in Skinner. To be honest, that one surprised me a little bit. Right? You got Henrique back and Holloway. I know that there's no way he wanted to be. Oh, you're back in Bakersfield for a little bit.
No,
like there's no way he would ever sign off on that because he is an NHL player.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, it's then go in and beat out Jeff Skinner, right? Like have a little self-confidence in your game. And, it's not like it was a life-changing raise. He signed the offer sheet, which I don't care what anybody says. When you got guys like McDavid and Draisaitl trying to win, and all of a sudden, someone doubles their salary via offer sheet, and that means Cody Ceci has to move, and that means this guy's getting traded. And there's no way his teammates are patting on the back saying good job. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah. No, not for that amount. Him sticking around, he was going to be a top 6 guy. That was the plan. He would have been a regular this year. The ebbs and flows of the season. A guy gets hurt, a guy isn't playing well. Boom, you pop him up there and he fits in like a glove. I think it was a bad bet, bad intel, expecting the Oilers to automatically match, and that then they made that Podkolzin trade, and then they can expect him to get 30 points, 25 points, whatever, in a bottom 6 role. So
my thought was that the Broberg money, like he priced himself out and they couldn't match, and then the Holloway money, it wasn't about the money. The Holloway not matching was a little bit more about spite is the wrong word, but more organizational confidence. Where like, hey, we're not going to let you push us around.
Yeah, it's almost replaceable. We could replace you. We can get you.
Well,
we could find someone.
His production is literally replaceable. And if fans get into this mode where every young player, and that's funny, right? Every young player, you see the ceiling, you see the potential, and then guess what? That young player plays a few years, becomes just a guy, and then everyone hates him. Like look at Ryan McLeod, right? This is an untouchable guy, and then guess what? You get used to seeing him for a few years, and you realize that he's just a guy, and he's going to have his fans, he's going to have his detractors, and that's Holloway. Holloway's not anything special. He's just a good player.
Yeah, he's not one. I don't think 5 years from now, other fans might be looking back and going, "That was the one that got away." Like, I think Broberg could be.
Yeah,
I think Broberg could be, and that's where I know it's a lot to pay him. I would have matched it though still and kept him because I would have traded him next August though. Like it would have been. I think getting more than a second was important for Broberg, but we'll see what the Oilers can do with that second and third and cap space at the deadline.
Third and cap space.
That's huge.
Yeah. But they'll have to. Like everyone knows, they got to bring in someone, right? So.
The asset management though was not great in that scenario.
No, it was not ideal.
But with Holloway, I think you might see Holloway change agents here because I don't think I agree with you. I don't think he wanted to go anywhere. He hedged his bets, and this is probably going to end up costing him a bunch of money in the future. Like he gets some short-term additional money now, but if he would have just stayed with the Oilers, at probably he was going to be 1.1, 1.2. Sure, you lose the money now, but playing with these guys, winning a Stanley Cup, his production is probably going to be more than it is going to end up being in St. Louis, and a year or two from now, he could have signed
he'll play in St. Louis, but all of a sudden now, like, expectations are tough. There's a burden there. All of a sudden, you are getting paid. Now you have to produce.
Yeah.
And maybe he will, and maybe his next deal's even bigger. But
St. Louis isn't very good though. So, and you don't make yourself good in the NHL by overpaying players, and they just overpaid 2 players. They're in some other trouble because they overplayed some other players when they had a good run a few years back, and so St. Louis is in a lot of trouble. I don't like their direction. I don't like where they're headed and where they're going to be over the next number of years. And now those guys are in their organization, and they're going to be playing in a mediocre team. And I don't like it for them outside of the money. The money now, especially Broberg, is he ever going to be really worth $4.5 million? Like, I
think he could be.
What's his next contract going to be now?
Well, going rate for CC was making 3.5, and I thought he performed. He performed to the level of his pay, I think, as an Edmonton Oiler, right? If you're a top 4 20-minute-a-night defenseman, that's between $4 and $5 million. That's the going rate in today's salary cap era.
What are you guys expecting out of Emberson? Because like a lot of people are saying to me, oh, this guy's going to be a stud. And I'm like, San Jose is not trading away a young stud for Cody Ceci in a 3rd-round draft pick. So, yes, he played for the coach in Hartford a couple of years ago. So he knows him, and he knows him well. But, man, like, people thinking that he's going to come in and set the world on fire, I think they're overthinking that a little bit.
He's just in that category of... Who do you have? You got Stetcher, you got Emberson, you got a couple of...
Josh Brown.
Josh Brown. Again, you hope in a perfect world that most of these guys aren't playing a lot of games for you, and they might be pressed into service, and they might see a little upside in Emberson. But listen, if San Jose, they have a few untouchables, and Emberson was not one of them, obviously. So
and
just a guy.
Just a guy. Yeah.
Greer is doing he made that trade. The next day he traded Axelrod.
Yeah.
Okay, he obviously is pretty good at his job because that Axelrod trade is a pretty darn good trade. So he's not giving away.
San Jose is going to be pretty bad this year, though. So
I will say I don't know if Mike Greer has been great at his job necessarily. I think there's been a lot of trades he's made where a lot of people have looked at him and been like, "What are you doing?" Until the Askarov trade, where all of a sudden it was, "Oh, look at what he brought in here," and got a pretty good deal for him and stuff. So, I think just Emberson's one of those guys. Only 30 NHL games. But can he do it? Like you're talking about a 6th guy. Can he just not make that mistake that goes in the back of the net?
Well,
can he go be just steady enough to eat up whatever 12, 13 minutes a night that you're going to need from him?
And it's a shame that we can't just watch these things as sports fans sometimes, but the world has turned into such a cap era where you are judged on your play, but also your impact on the cap.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in Toronto and I was covering the Leafs. It's funny because now he's local here, but fans would get so rattled at a young Zach Hyman because he wasn't a great finisher, and he was only scoring 16, 17 goals a year. And fans on the call-in show stuff would get frustrating because if this guy had any finish, he'd have 40. And I remember saying, I'm like, listen, if all your players score 40 goals like you want, you're not going to be able to afford any of them. There's something to be said for a guy. It's he only scores 18. Yeah, but you only pay him $2.5 million. There's a value there, right? Yeah. And if you're a 5-6D, look at Desharnais, right? I don't think he could have done anything more. He made the most out of his skill set, right? And the conversation, around Vinny Desharnais was not what steps does he have to take to be a top pairing defenseman? No. He's going to make $1 million, and he's going to kill penalties, and he's going to play tough. He's going to make the odd mistake, and he's going to be in your number 6, maybe your number 7. And the second someone came along and wanted to pay him a little more, then you go to the next $1 million guy.
Exactly.
Right? Because
you need those guys.
The biggest value about Ty Emberson's game is that he makes $750,000.
Yeah.
That's the best part about his game.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, we just talked about Philip Broberg, who was in the minors a couple of different times last year, and he never really established himself until into an NHL player until the last 2 rounds of the playoffs. And now all of a sudden, talk of, he might be a top 4 defenseman. So
I mean, he was drafted in the first round, right? The plan was for him to be a
Right.
top 4 defenseman eventually.
And so Amberson could come in here and just in a different scenario, and he could show that he is a legit NHL defenseman and could play on that second pairing with Nurse. I mean, it could happen that way. I don't think we should expect it, but
it's
it
like,
could.
you know how we talked about golf? It's like you gotta, if the only time you enjoy golf is when you're playing at your best, you're just not going to enjoy golf very often, right? And if, as a fan, if the only time you can say something good about the player is if he's a top 6 forward, top 4 defenseman, impact player, well, you're going to hate a lot of your guys because you need guys in every role, and that includes guys in the press box, right? That's a role, right?
Yeah, the skill of being able to come in 10, 15 games for the year, and when you come in, do your job, but then go sit in the press box.
Calvin Pickard was your, 4th organizational goalie a year ago, maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th. And we weren't debating the merits of Calvin Pickard, but guess what? He fit his role perfectly, and he got called into service because of varying circumstances.
Well, the way he played it, like going as of when the Oilers were having that sputtering start to the season, it was Oilers need to go get a goalie, Oilers need to get a goalie, Oilers need to get a goalie. And by the time we got the trade deadline, based on partly how Skinner was playing, but also how Calvin Pickard played as a backup in the role of the number 2. No one was talking about goalie at the trade deadline. No one was talking about Ken Holland and the team needing to go get a goalie because he, as you say, he did his role. He did his job.
Well, that 13th forward and 7th defenseman that's sitting in the stands a lot. I mean, a key component of those guys needs to be a positive attitude too. I mean, I'm sure they want to play, but if they're whining and pouting and bitching about sitting in the press box, and it brings the rest of the team down, and it can cause a problem with your team and your organization. So to have those perfect guys in those roles that can be happy about it, come in and play hard and give good minutes.
The Strutties of the world.
That's a perfect example.
Being a professional. Being a professional means that you can sit for weeks and then you get put in and you're going to play your game. Corey Perry's not going to play more than 40, 50 games. And that's fine because when you put him in, he's going to be Corey Perry. And it's the same with Troy Stetcher, right? And it's like those guys are, say what you want. You don't have to love them. They're not the greatest, but they're professionals.
Yeah.
And they're going to have their flaws in them.
Yeah.
That's the reason they're not the top 2 defensemen in the National Hockey League. But
and it's
as
also
you said,
why they make $1 million.
It's the role. Exactly. It's the role that they do produce. Tommy's not coming back, by the way. I'm just going to say that he left. Apparently, Dusty, they're on location for the Oil Stream at noon today on a Boston Pizza Calgary Trail, and Dustin forgot his laptop. So Tom's would have left after the show to go meet him, but Dusty's doing the next show, Lock Shop, as well, so Tom had to go take him the laptop. So Tom didn't just go and have like a nosebleed or something like that. He's gone, so he left his coffee cup that we'll clean up for him. Don't worry, Tommy, we got that for you, but we'll get it done. Matt Iwanyk, Murray McCourt, Andrew Walker with you. We just got a few minutes left here on the Hangout here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Let's get to Road Warriors, which is brought to you by AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers, custom manufacturing of heavy haul trailers for mining, oil and gas, equipment, and highway transportation. No patch jobs, better than you solutions, trusted by the leaders in the heavy transport industry. Get on the road with peace of mind for your large loads. AccuSteel.ca. Looking at the schedule for tonight, we got the makeup game between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox that will get going at noon today. Have you guys heard of the Danny Jansen game tonight?
I was reading that yesterday, yeah.
Danny Jansen was playing for the Toronto Blue Jays in this game before it got suspended.
Months ago.
Pardon?
Months ago, right?
Yes. Yeah. And he got traded to the Red Sox, and now he'll be playing this game as a member of the Boston Red Sox. So he'll be playing in the exact same game, but for both teams.
Oh, boy, that's
well, he'll be on the lineup card. He won't actually play for the Blue Jays. But I was reading that because it's a very unique circumstance. And when they stopped that game, I think it was in the second inning, and it's like, okay, we got to play it again, but they got to pick it up from the second. Almost both entire lineups, like the Jays traded away everybody, right?
They did.
So I think they got to replace like 6 guys, and even there's a few members of the Red Sox that are since gone. So they'll basically have to, like Danny Jansen will begin the game. He was the catcher, and they'll pinch hit for him, basically. Yeah.
But he played in the game as catcher. He didn't actually go at bat.
Right. And so he cannot play for Boston then, right? Or could he play for Boston?
I think they absolutely can play.
Yeah, he can now because he'll be on the Red Sox roster
for this game.
Yeah.
So if they want to bring him into the lineup, they could bring him into the lineup. He could.
But Jays will have to kind of formally announce that it's the third inning. We're replacing Danny Jansen with whoever, Alejandro Kirk, or
and then Boston's going to insert him instead of the
Something like that.
That's hilarious.
I think it's the first time it's happened since like the 30s or something. I read that. Yeah.
Well,
It's a nice little quirk.
That's the thing about
funny.
baseball more so than any other sport.
Yes.
You can go to a game and it's been around for 125 years. Teams play 162 games, right? There's so many games. You can go to a baseball game on a random Tuesday in Pittsburgh. You might see something that you've never seen before. That's the crazy part about baseball.
And as and it's been around for how long with that, right?
Yeah,
and you still might see something that's neat.
Well,
And tonight, or this afternoon, that's coming up at noon, so in an hour and 10 minutes, you can watch Danny Jansen. One person was saying, Mike in the nasty chat was saying, it was the second inning, and Danny Jansen was at bat. The count was 1-0.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
So-
it rained or something? Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was severe weather.
Okay.
So it got postponed. And so, yeah, Danny Jansen was... this other one says Danny Jansen was about to bat, and then it got postponed. And it's going to be part of a doubleheader today. But what a doubleheader is Danny Jansen might be able to at least play on a pitch for two teams in the same game. And he'll be on the stats.
Yeah.
And
I could be wrong. I thought I read, though, that it's just going to be a paper move. He's not going to be wearing a Blue Jays jersey again.
No, but he could go play for the Red Sox today.
Yes.
And that's where he caught in the first game, or the first part. He caught in the first inning for the Blue Jays.
Technically, he will have appeared twice in the same game. It's just once. One was 2 months ago.
If the Red Sox better put him in somehow.
Yeah.
They got to let him.
It's a little.
They got
history,
even ninth inning or something. You got to find a way to get him out there so that he's put on the Blue Jays and the Red Sox jersey and was out there doing something in the exact same game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they were playing in just wild times. But you're right. It's the fun stuff of baseball has all the stories. They also, if you go back in the time, was it Rube Waddell who would chase fire trucks? There'd be a fire truck that'd go by. This is like the early 1900s, and he'd chase the fire truck because he had just the attention span very short. The stories of Rube Waddell are like he was off. The team couldn't find him one off season or something. He was off with like a circus.
Boy, how do you know this?
Because Rube Waddell was one I always like. When I heard this story, I read about it, and I'm like, I'll never forget this one.
I've never heard that name.
What player runs off for a fire truck?
Yeah, my kid. And he's 6 though, not a professional.
Yeah, but this guy
baseball
played. Let's see if I could quickly pull up what he did. Rube Waddell, because he did some. He died in 1914, so he played in like the.
Oh my goodness!
He played between 1897 and 1910.
Baseball, and back in who was it the Cardinals? Eddie Goodell. He was the little person. So he was like whatever. He was 3 foot whatever, and they brought him in as a publicity stunt, and because they thought his strike zone was small. you know that story?
How'd that play out?
I believe he walked. And then they
couldn't get a ball in the strike zone on him. Oh,
so here's the quick little summary from Wikipedia of Rube Waddell. He was noticeably unpredictable. Early in his career, he once left in the middle of a game to go fishing. He also had a long-standing fascination with fire trucks and ran off the field to chase after them during games on multiple occasions. He would disappear for months at a time during the off-season and was not known where he went until it was discovered he was wrestling alligators in a circus. He was easily distracted by opposing fans who held up puppies, which caused him to run over to play with them, and shiny objects, which seemed to put him into a trance.
This was in the majors?
This is in the majors.
Wow.
So
this is like 1902 through 1907. He played for the Philadelphia Athletics, right. And then like 1908 to 1910, the St. Louis Browns.
So it sounds like he was autistic. Would be
there was something that nowadays would be medically diagnosed. Yeah. Absolutely.
But that's Mo Norman. Mo Norman in golf is him in baseball then, because that's the type of stuff that Mo Norman would do.
Mo Norman.
You don't know Mo Norman?
The best ball striker of all time, you could say. Yeah.
See, us golfers over here know it.
Look at that picture of him.
If you are the Franco's
35th and 37th annual Franco's champion,
you should know all about Mo Norman, because he was autistic and he was a very unique individual in similar type ways. He could be winning a tournament and decide, I don't feel like playing today, so I'm not going to play.
Sam Snead called him the greatest striker of the ball.
But if he wasn't autistic, I don't know if he could have had that tunnel vision on having the perfect golf swing, right?
You're probably right.
Yeah.
That probably helped him
exactly
in that way, yeah.
Tiger Woods said Norman and Ben Hogan were the only two golfers in history to have, quote unquote, owned their swings.
And his was a very unique swing too. We were talking about that earlier. Mo Norman's swing, I was fortunate enough to be around him a few times and watched him hit a lot of golf balls. And
he would wear out the face on his club though.
Yeah,
right?
because he never missed.
Yeah, never missed.
But it was a weird swing. Not a typical swing for sure.
That will do it for the EST Hangout on this Monday. Up next here on Edmonton Sports Talk, it will be Lock Shop, Dusty and Huss. And then at noon, it is the Oil Stream with Tommy and Dusty live at Boston Pizza out on Calgary Trail. As long as that laptop gets there just in time for Dusty to plug it in and get all connected. Murray, it's good seeing you. It's been a few weeks since we had you.
Been,
Andrew, it was great having you on. It was great having you here.
Man, it's great to be back behind a mic a little bit and chopping it up with you fellas.
Yes. And best of luck continuing on the golf course.
Yeah, thanks.
On behalf of Tommy, Andrew, Murray, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in to the EST Hangout here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Like I said, Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here, joining us today.